I'm going to do a short video here that's kind of replaying the shell interaction that the Flask web development book goes through. For those people that haven't worked a lot with the shell, very useful, in my mind, way to explore the database and also to learn about the characteristics of the objects and variables that you're working with within Python. If you have it installed, when you run the shell, Flask will by default use the IPython shell. And the IPython shell has a number of useful features that help you work with both the computing environment and to explore your variables. So one useful thing that you can do is, and I just got to double check my cheat sheet here, is that we can do logging so that we can keep a list of all the commands that we execute during the session. And so that can be done with this magic command. The percent symbol is used in IPython as a magic function, so magic log start and then the file name that you want to explore. And you can also set different logging options, and I'm not particularly familiar with those. So this will allow us to keep a record of what we did if we want to remember what we did, or to be able to copy and paste into a different setting. So the first thing we need to do is to explore our database is to import the database object that's defined in our hello.py file. And we also want to import the classes that the models that we defined. And these will allow us to create instances of the model within our shell. So we can create an admin role by creating an instance of the role class, and then we'll give it a name of admin. And we can create a moderator role. And a user role. Now that we've got these roles defined, we can use these roles to define particular users. So in this case, we can create a user John, and that's going to be an instance of user, username, and then we provide what role it has, and then we provide the instance that we created. Again, now there's some things that can be helpful in the shell. So Python has a help function that will give us the help for that class. In this case, we have the class user is a class that inherits from Flask SQL Alchemy, etc. Has the different attributes of that class defined, so on. There's also a shortcut question mark that can be used to get information and help information about a class. You can do tab completion, so if I do user dot, this is telling me the attributes of the method, and so we can explore it that way. We can look at the user John. Things here. I can do user John dot. I can get the ID, which hasn't been defined yet. User John dot username, which we defined in the constructor. User John dot role. so on. So there's these tools within the IPython notebook that help us explore variables. It's also fairly easy to interact with your environment. So I can execute a variety of Unix shell commands directly within the Python shell. I can change directories, etc. So those are just some useful tools to get to know. So we've created these objects. We haven't done anything with the database yet. And actually, I'm going to back up here a little bit. I did make a mistake that I had already created a database. So I just wanted to start with a fresh fresh database. So I'm just going to come up here, scroll back up here. Okay, I can drop all. Let me do that. So I come back here, I'm going to do db drop all. And then if I do db session, so if I do the db drop all, one thing that I make a lot of use of is that Firefox has a SQLite browser plugin, and so I did the drop all, so we now have this empty database. So this SQLite Firefox plugin is my favorite way to browse through SQLite databases. I need to do the db.createAll, and this will create the schema that matches our models. Now if I bring back up the SQLite, that I now, if I look at it, I now have two tables defined, roles and users. I've created those particular instances, so now I need to write them to the database. And so all the changes to the database, etc., are done through the session attribute of the database. So let me just close that for a second. db session, and we can add like admin role, and I can do, so that's adding things individually. I can add all, and I can provide a list of things that I'm adding. John, user Susan. I don't know if I created, so I can use the up arrows to get at the previous commands. So I didn't make a user David yet, like they do in the book, so let me just do that here. And then I can add that to my database. But if I come back here to my database browser, oops, I'll see that I actually have not added anything to the tables, and that's because I first need to do the commit. Now as I bring up the browser, refresh this, I now have the 3 roles and the 3 users. I can do various things. I can modify the specific instances here and write them to the database. I can delete them from the database, and there's also rollback functions, and these are highlighted in the notes.